Welcome, everyone, to Caleb Watches Movies, the channel where I, Caleb, randomly select one of the many movies that I own and I watch and review them for you. And today we are coming to the end of 2019. I just released my best movies that I reviewed in 2019 video a couple of days ago. So now, of course, we have to go to the other side of the coin. The movies that I randomly selected or the movies that were recommended to me, these were the top 10 ones that I reviewed in 2019 that I hated. Hated is a very strong word. That's all I'm going to say. Like I stated in my other review, other YouTubers, movie reviewers out there do their worst of 2019, their best of 2019 reviews. So they only cover movies that came out in 2019, so you get a lot of the same movies on the same list. So why watch more than one? But I think this list is going to be more unique because this is covering the reviews that I published in 2019, going from movie review 121 to 212. And this can be any movie. This can be ranging from Jaws to Shawshank Redemption, The Dark Knight to A Few Good Men. All of these movies can go head to head with each other, just as long as I reviewed them in 2019. So, it is New Year's Eve, and I think it's time to talk about some pretty terrible movies. At number 10 is a film that was definitely going to make this list, and I was going to put it at number 10 because I actually love the heck out of this, but I do realize that it's absolutely terrible. It's a film called Bitch Slap. Recommended to me by Alex Miner, and my god, I couldn't be happier. I heard the title of this movie and I went, yep, I'm definitely watching that one. We have terrible green screens, a plot that is overthought out, overly dramatic. It knows exactly what it is. It's not taking itself way too seriously. Oh, but it's very bad. It has a lot of the female cleavage, which I'm always a big fan of, because I am a mindless heterosexual male. It's your stereotypical B movie or straight-to-DVD movie that when you go in, you know you're not expecting much, and I absolutely had a fantastic time watching this. Even though the quality of the film, it's definitely not up to par. It was going to make this list anyway. It has taken the crown, though, for my favorite guilty movie pleasure. This one is great, and I'm going to keep watching it, even though it's very bad. At number 9 is one of the low points of superhero films, of any Marvel film out there, is a little movie called Spider-Man 3. A movie that for the longest time was the highest grossing solo Spider-Man movie out there, which is insulting to the character. I'd like to use a Lewis Black joke when I'm talking about this movie, because Spider-Man 3 to me is very much like candy corn. Every year on Halloween, candy corn comes out and you think, oh, it's candy corn. It's corn I really like. I love corn on the cob. I love just straight up corn. I love candy. How could this not be bad? And then you pick one up, you take a bite, and then you go, son of a bitch! Every year, candy corn fools you. This movie, every couple of years, fools me. I think, you know what? Spider-Man, I don't think it was that bad. It was Tobey Maguire, it was Sam Raimi. Everyone came back for this thing. I mean, we had some pretty cool fight sequences from what I remember. No, we don't. Caleb, stop! Caleb, if you're watching this and you have those thoughts, this is a couple years down the road, if you have those thoughts about Spider-Man 3, stop it! It's a movie that you can tell that no one wanted to make, or at least they didn't want to make this version of the movie. Sam Raimi has stated publicly that he wanted to do Sandman. He didn't want to do Venom, but the studio's like, no, Venom's our big thing. You gotta do it. This movie's the definition of, oh yes, I'm just here to collect my paycheck and go along my merry way and destroy a beloved character and franchise trilogy that I was building up for several years, because I just don't care. At number 8 is a movie that I reviewed, I think it was last month, actually, a South Korean picture named The Handmaiden, which according to several comments that I received is a lot of people's favorite movie, or one of their favorite movies. And if it is, all the more power to you. I'm not going to tell you that your list is wrong of your favorite movies. I'm just telling you, when I watched this movie, I didn't like it. It made me feel very dirty. Like, I wasn't prepared to watch what I was watching in this movie, because I wasn't on my laptop in a room somewhere all by myself. Just knowing that there was a male behind the camera filming this very long, drawn out, you can tell, very stylized version of a lesbian sex scene, it made me feel disgusted. I personally believe that there is a more artistic way to show a sex scene on screen between two people. This one, I thought, I mean, he may have been going for a more realistic tone. It just seemed like the realism that they were portraying was very forced, and I didn't like it. Plus, this is a kind of heist movie, and the heist didn't really make sense to me. And you just have a lot of perverted male characters in this film. Like I said, I felt dirty, and I never want to watch this movie again. At number 7 is a movie, it's a sequel to a movie that no one really liked, so of course no one was calling for this movie, but the studio said, no, we need to make this trilogy because Sam Worthington is a big action star now. It's Wrath of the Titans, a sequel to the very popular and very famous Clash of the Titans from like 2010, I think. A movie that I remember watching when it originally came out, and I had forgotten every single thing that happened in the film. And I know that I reviewed it this year, because I put it on the list, I put it in my notes. I still cannot remember what the plot of it was. I know Poseidon was in it, Sam Worthington was back, they were trying to get something, I don't even remember. That's how bad this movie was. Rosamund Pike is here, and she's always hit or miss with me. I remember doing a fun operatic cutscene in my review for this film. I think that's all I can remember of this movie, was that thing that I did in response to it. No one saw this movie. I'm not imploring you to. It happened, and let's move on. At number 6, another movie that we're probably going to say, let's forget about it and just move on. A film called The Great Wall that had a bunch of aliens that talked to each other and were here trying to take over China. Because you have to. And Matt Damon is in the middle of it. Not good. Not good at all. Some of the fight choreography was impressive, I'll give it that, but another instance of this plot I cannot remember. A story is supposed to enthrall you. It's supposed to entice you. It's supposed to grab your attention. So if a movie doesn't do that, instantly it's bad. I think that's like the number one thing when it comes to figuring out, is a movie bad or is it good? Was the story engaging? No? Then it's bad. This film, of course, got a lot of controversy because Matt Damon is a white man and he's in China, so people don't like that. I was actually excited when the film was coming out because I think the Great Wall of China is a wonderful thing to learn in your history class or on historic documentaries, but then when we put the green aliens that can communicate with the vibrations and their Jurassic Park flingy-mabobbers, it is... Again, this is not good. Oh, I do remember that all of the armor, they were like Power Rangers. And the pink ones were like the bungee jumpers, and the red ones, they were like the hand combat ones. Yes, I remember the Chinese Power Rangers. Hurrah. At number 5, I just got done celebrating Christmas, and there was a Christmas movie that I watched this year that was surprisingly terrible and surprisingly very offensive. Little film called Holiday Inn. You have Fred Astaire dancing up a storm and Bing Crosby with his magical voice. How could this be terrible? Blackface. That's how. It's an artistic form that was very popular about 100 years ago. I don't know why, but they decided to put it into this movie, in the theatrical version. And you know it's bad that when this movie airs on TV, on stations like AMC or TNT, they cut that part out. So for those film purists out there that wish for this film to be shown in its entirety and actually like this movie, if there are TV stations that say, hey, we don't want this in there, we're willing to play it, but we're definitely cutting it out, you know that that scene is offensive and bad. I also don't like its portrayal of women in this movie because apparently they're just mindless objects that are easily controllable. Like the woman at the beginning of the film, she was with Bing Crosby's character, but kind of was going behind his back to be with Fred Astaire, and at one point, Bing Crosby is wanting to retire and open up his Holiday Inn, and she was going to come with him. But she explains that, well, Fred over there, he explained it that, well, now I'm in love with him. See, he explained that to me. So, well, now I am, so now I'm not with you. That was the dialogue in the first, 10 minutes. and I couldn't get over it. This movie is offensive and awful. Don't watch it. At number 4, one of my reviews that caused the most comments that I've gotten on a video. It's either that one or Atlantis: The Lost Empire, with just how much hate I've gotten from it. It's a movie called Iron Sky, a movie where we glorify Nazis and their mission to take over the planet by building a hidden base during World War II, building a hidden base there to hide out, waiting for everyone to be not expecting them here on the ground, and then they'll come in and invade. Wow. And everyone commented on my review saying, like, oh, this is just science fiction. You're taking it way too seriously. Blah, blah, blah. I understand what science fiction is, but something being science fiction does not mean it's science good. Everyone was saying, oh no, it's a science fiction. It's reflecting on our society and how easily manipulated we are. And this film is actually very intelligent. Hey, if you like this movie, fine. That's great. And if you want to have a nice adult conversation with me as to why you like this movie, fine. But you can't tell me my opinion is wrong, because that's my opinion, and I gave you reasoning behind that opinion. This movie is stupid. It doesn't make sense. It never once convinced me that Nazis from World War II had the technology to send equipment to the moon to build a space base. You can't convince me of that. And then I remember a gentleman falling on the moon, you know, a surface that doesn't really have that much gravity. He fell from the moon through a pipe. This stuff, flesh, bone, was so strong, and that pipe was so weak on the moon that he fell through it. I'm sorry, I'm never getting over that moment. Once that happened, this film lost me. Again, if you like it, good for you. But this is my channel, this is my review, and this is my listing, so it belongs here. You know, 2019 was a revolutionary year for me because I got my first screener from a studio. They reached out to me. They had this film that was going to be released on streaming services. They wanted me to review it and publish my review for them. That's how wonderful. I was so excited. Little did I know that, oh yes, there is the possibility that my first screener would be bad. Woodstock or Bust was bad. Two girls that are just so talented of musicians, and they just know they could make it if they just had an opportunity. All of a sudden, Woodstock is happening, so they think, oh yes, we're gonna go and we're gonna play with them. We'll get up on stage, we'll be popular. You can tell that this was a passion project from the director who directed and wrote the thing, but I think that's all it had, was passion. Someone had passion for this time in their lives that they want to go back and revisit. But I guess that passion didn't include editing the script, because it's all over the place. I remember there's a Native American man who was riding with these girls to Woodstock for a time, and out of nowhere they stop and he says some pretty ridiculous things, or at least out there things, and he's talking about shooting his foot because that'll represent fighting the man and things, and then does it, and then he's riding in the back seat to the hospital. It's kind of like this. Yes, I shot my big toe off, no big deal. And a lot of the dialogue is very forced, probably coming from an older director, an older writer, putting their voice in it, but not the voice of what the character is, because the young teenage girls are talking about, oh, those men, they sacrificed their lives in Vietnam. They stood up for what they believed in. The actual words and the delivery of those words, I didn't buy at all. Plus, my review of this movie led to a heated debate back and forth between myself and the director, and how she was trying to discredit my opinion of this movie because it wasn't positive. Newsflash, if you're an artist, there is a big possibility that not everyone is going to like your art. So I encourage anyone out there who's going to go into the arts, if you're going to be an artist, a singer, an actor, a performer, if you're going to put your art out there, good for you. Have it be an extension of yourself and be proud of it. But also realize that if you're putting it out there, that means that other people, like myself, like reviewers, can take that in for themselves and decide whether or not they like it or dislike it. And they have the right to voice that opinion as well. Something that all artists need to realize. So if anything, that film taught me that, or maybe it taught the director that. I'm not sure. I don't know. She might have blocked me. Oh well. At number 2, and actually I'm very shocked that this didn't make number 1, because it deserves to. We'll talk about that here in a second, but the movie called 50 Shades of Grey, the most sexually revolutionizing film and book series ever. No. I'm not a part of the BDSM culture, but I assume that culture, when this film came out and those people watched it, I would be upset if my culture was represented in this way. Represented by someone that has no idea what that culture is about. It's about engagement. It's about love. It's about trust between two people to kind of put themselves through painful situations, more or less. So here's this woman that is so sexually attracted to this gorgeous man that she just can't contain herself, and she will do anything to be with this man. And this man is into, well, tying up his women and beating them a little bit in a pleasurable sexual way, which you can do. But here's the amazing part. She goes through that situation and she feels violated. She's like, why are you hurting me? Why would you spank me that hard? Why? What did you think was going to happen? He showed you the room. He had you sign a contract and let you know what he is planning to do to you. Plus, this movie happens and then it just ends. There is no climax to this movie, which basically describes the writer's mindset and idea behind sex. See, when you have sex, you kind of build towards a climax between both people. When you make a film, we need some type of climax and resolution. We got none of that. You blue-balled the crap out of me. I don't know, should I watch the next two just to see if there is a climax at all? I hear there isn't. I have heard over the years how bad this film is, how bad this franchise is. So I'm surprised that I was shocked at how bad this movie was when I finally watched it. It's terrible. Don't watch it. There are other films, if you're interested in this world, that you can watch that'll give you a more in-depth look at a world like BDSM, like Secretary, or Professor Marsden and the Wonder Woman. Watch those movies. They're actually good. And at number 1 is a movie that, again, I got a couple of comments from people over in Europe who actually revere this movie. A movie called Saint Trinians, a film about an all-girls boarding school that turns out to be their training to be assassins for something. This was a recommendation. I gave it a chance. I actually couldn't finish it. I think it had like 10 or 15 minutes left in the movie. But I had to stop, and I didn't care to go back to finish it. I don't know, does it miraculously get better in the last 10, 15 minutes? Because I sat through about an hour and a half of the rest of it, and it was shit. It's one of those movies that you can tell that everyone on the set, the crew, the actors, thinks it's funny, and then when it's produced, it's not at all. Our characters' motivations are all over the place. The lead girl that we follow, at first she doesn't want to be here, she doesn't want to be a part of this, and then out of nowhere she's defending it, and everyone's accepting her as their own. And do you know how you accept someone? Do a makeover! The school is an absolute disaster. It is a mess, and I just couldn't get behind a single character. When I can't get behind a character and a plot, you've completely lost me. In the last 20 minutes, they were trying to do a heist film now, and what they were heisting, it didn't... I don't even remember what it was about. I just didn't fucking care. Plus, they had a quiz team that they were cheating because someone was feeding them all the answers. And when that happens, I get offended because I was a part of my school's quiz bowl team in high school, and we won our division. I have sat through some shit in my time. Day After Tomorrow, Dark Shadows, I have sat through those completely. The fact that I couldn't finish this movie just explains it right there. I hated this thing. It was recommended to me, and I put that Rodrigo, that's his name, he recommended this to me. He was in the doghouse for a very long time. I'm okay with a good laugh. I am okay with a film that doesn't take itself too seriously, like Bitch Slap. I am okay with that. But when it presents it in a way where it kind of is taking itself a little seriously, no, I'm checked out. Saint Trinians is the worst film that I reviewed this year. Shame on you, film. Shame on you for presenting yourself to me. And intriguing me to watch you for this channel. Shame on you. That is my listing of the worst films that I reviewed in 2019. And that's the end of 2019. It was a year of ups and downs for me personally. Thank you everyone for your support on my Elf review and my eulogy for my cat that passed away last month. Thank you very much everyone. And thank you everyone for stopping by and supporting me on this channel. If you have any recommendations of films that you want me to review in 2020, leave your recommendation below this video. Recommend good films. Recommend bad films for me. But if they're bad, could you at least tell me, hey, this one's bad. Some of these movies on this list were recommended to me by saying that this is my favorite comedy or this is my favorite movie of all time. Okay, you're building it up a lot, and it's definitely not meeting those standards. So if you have recommendations, leave your comment below this video, go to my Facebook page, my Instagram, or my Twitter, leave your recommendation there, and if I have access to it, I will watch, review it, and give you a shout out on the channel. So guys, what did you think of my list? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Would you have rearranged the order a little bit? If you've gone back and watched all of my reviews of 2019, do you think other movies belong on here? Please, whatever you thought, comment below, let me know what you thought about it. And if you like what you saw here, if you like my take on movies, then hit the subscribe button. It helps me out with growing this channel. And if you have friends, if you have family members, I love hearing people talk about movies, send them over my way and hit the subscribe button. Again, thank you all for an amazing 2019. I think we only have bigger and better things to do in 2020. So I will see everyone next year. In the meantime, be well, be good to each other, and go watch a movie. Take care, guys.